Hi, I'd like to begin by welcoming you to Banting and the Real Meal Revolution. What you're going to begin learning in this process is going to turn most of what you think you know about nutrition upside down. It's going to change everything that society is telling us, everything that food manufacturers are telling us, everything that medical doctors are telling us, nutritionists and personal trainers, if you've ever worked with them. Um, it requires a very open mind and lots of changes. It's a process, but I'm excited for you, and I'm thrilled to be a partner with you on the journey to better health, to better physical stature, to more energy, to better looking skin. So many positives about this way of eating that I'm thrilled to begin sharing with you. Interestingly, I grew up in what I assumed was a very nutritionally sound family. Um, I was active as a child. I didn't eat a lot of sugar. Um, my parents had a nutritional company, a Shackley distributorship. So I started every day with protein drinks and supplementation and things like that. Now, I've learned a lot about protein drinks. I do still take supplements because I certainly believe that there are some nutrients we just can't get from our food because of the way our soil and everything has been treated, particularly here in the US. Um, but I never struggled with weight. I didn't feel like I did, you know. As I got older, I was always in fairly good shape and active. Um, I've been married from a state for 18 years, and I have three sons. They're 16, 14, and 9, so we're busy. Um, my husband's a sales manager, but he only recently got out of the um, hospitality industry on the operational side of it and traveled 4 days a week for about 8.5 years. So I've been running our household kind of solo, which is a challenge. It's hard to feed your family well. It's hard to get everyone where they need to be at whatever time they need to be there. It's certainly hard to keep your house clean, and it's tough if you have a job. All of those things I do. Um, 4 years ago, I was certified as a holistic health counselor, and at the same time realized that if I were going to pursue that, I needed some marketing dollars. And I hadn't worked in quite a while because I had been home with our youngest child. And I had a job almost fall into my lap. So for the past 4 years, I've been the director of sales and catering operations for a 12-unit restaurant group. I've done some travel, which certainly it's hard to maintain any way of eating when you travel, and I've had to learn some interesting tricks. Um, and I've felt like a failure physically for about 4 years. So it's been an interesting journey. While having that career has offered us a lot as a family, um, I paid the price physically and emotionally for that. I was on a plane in August of 2015, and I sat next to a lovely woman from South Africa. And as the flight, went on, we were on our way to Aruba. We started chatting about why she was going and what we were doing there. And I was going for my dad's wedding, and she was going to spend 30 days on a Scientology cruise, which I knew nothing about. And we had a great discussion about that. But then we got into food, and she is the person that shared the Real Meal Revolution with me. Her name was Philippa. She's a lovely, lovely woman, and she was trim. Her skin looked great. She was older than I was, and she just looked beautiful. So we talked about it a little bit. She gave me Professor Tim Noakes' name, and she told me about the website of realmealrevolution.com. And so I immediately looked it up when I got to Aruba. At that point in time, I was wearing a size 14 bathing suit. I think the dress I had bought was a large, and it was kind of a moo looking dress so that I didn't have to show off any curves I didn't want anybody to see. And I dressed like that a lot at that point in time. I realized it was a course and I didn't have time to do it then. So when we came home, I started watching and learning about Banting. Now, I didn't take any action yet, so that's my issue. Um, But I also didn't have anyone sort of pushing me in that direction that was a person, not just on a website. And so I did also buy the rights to the low carb, high fat summit that was in South Africa. And my husband and I watched, I don't know, 20 hours of almost medical testimony about low carb, high fat eating. And I was flabbergasted. And I was angry, angry, angry at everything that we're being sold as a bill of good health here in the United States and clearly in other parts of the world. Um, the holidays rolled around, it got busy, excuse, excuse, excuse. And in January, I said, okay, I want to be in the best shape of my life this year. Well, in February, when I had a physical, I was the heaviest I'd ever been. So I weighed 167 pounds and I was at 35 or higher percent body fat. And my BMI was about 28 or 29. So not in a good place. My blood pressure was fine. Everything else checked out great. But my weight was really disgusting to me. So in March, I started really cutting out carbohydrates. Probably wasn't adding enough fat, and I was probably eating too many portions. So while I began to feel better, my clothes started fitting better, I didn't quite have it figured out yet. And I understand that it does take a while for your body to become fat adapted so that it finally understands what's going on and what it needs to burn versus what it's used to burning. Um, and I got through that. March and April, I sort of tweaked it and figured it out. And in May, clearly, I got it. By the end of June, I had lost 12 pounds. And by the middle of July, I had lost probably 18 to 20 pounds. And then by the end of August, I had lost 30 pounds, and I'm down 33 pounds. What's even more staggering is that I'm down 8% body fat, and I'm down to a 23-point body mass index. So big improvements. And I know that because I went somewhere weekly and started getting my weight and my waist size and all measured. I'm also have lost 5 inches in my waist. So I went from a size 12, 14 to a size 6 and small shirts and things like that, which has been very rewarding for me. I have a lot of friends who now are asking what I'm doing. And so I've started having people over for dinner once a week to, make them a meal and talk to them about it a little bit. Not really coaching on a formal scale, but just getting the word out there. It's been pretty amazing. And the most staggering thing that I've learned is that really insulin is the enemy. And I knew it was a controlling hormone, but I really didn't have a concept about it until I started studying this way of eating. And it's made a huge impact. So for me personally, I know that I can't touch anything that's a processed carbohydrate. No bread, no pasta, no rice, no potatoes. None of that works for me. And I've very much limited my fruit intake as a whole. Every now and then I crave something, so I've adapted to that, and I've bought a little orange or some berries. But the other thing I've had to figure out is sort of what works for me personally. So definitely bigger breakfast for me, omelets, avocados, and things like that. And then lunches are a little bit lighter, and dinner's really pretty light for me. I don't snack. If I snack on anything, it's a piece of cheese, or I've figured out a great recipe for coconut oil treats that taste like candy. So that works for me, and they're sour, which is something I'm missing from citrus. So I've just figured out what works for me, and that's what I hope to do with you, is to be your partner in this journey. There's not any judgment. There can't be by me or you. You haven't failed. You're not the one that's failed. Society has failed us as a whole, and it's time for us to take back our lives and the way that we eat. So I'm thrilled that you're on board for the journey, and I look so forward to working with you.